All right. This is Jeff Tom. I am the chair of the MAC. I'm calling the September 18th meeting to order. How well can people hear me in the room?
It's it's okay, but you're not as loud as we'd like, but we can,
Right.
I can hear you. I'm not sure if everybody can hear you that well.
I can hear you, but you're muffled a little bit.
Okay. I'll talk louder if I can. The first
That's
order of
better.
business is introduction of council members and staff. We will start in the room, and what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be running the meeting, but I'm going to have Charles calling on people in both locations because I think it's a little easier for him than it is for me. So let's start in the room, Charles.
Okay, I'll start with myself, Charles Johnson, member at large and vice chair of the MAC, and people to my left, starting with Helen.
Helen O'Connell, Chair of the TCMP Training, Communications, and Policy Committee.
Melissa Backrath, Vice Chair of the TCMP Committee.
Okay, and we'll go over to Doris.
Doris Hernandez Morales. I'm an at-large member.
Okay, that's it in the room, Jeff.
Okay, go ahead and zoom.
Pam Flora.
Gene Lozano, Chair of the Access and Infrastructure Standing Committee, and I'm a member at large representing the interests of people with vision disabilities.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is German Aon. I am with Agency on Aging Area 4, and I am also a part of the TCNP committee.
Pam Floor, member at large representing seniors. I hope you can hear me.
We can. Frank, go ahead.
Good.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Frank Trujillo. I'm a member of the River City chapter of the National Federation of the Blind of California, and I'm also on the board of Sacramento of MAC.
Okay, I think that's it. If I missed anybody, just speak up. We're now going to do introduction of staff, and I'll have Priscilla facilitate that.
Okay, Priscilla Vargas, I'm staff liaison to the MAC and ADA compliance officer for SAC-RT. And Jamie, we'll go to you.
Hello, Jamie Poole Canterbury, Director of Customer Satisfaction.
Yes.
Good afternoon, James Drake, Senior Manager of Service Planning for SAC-RT.
Austin Greiner.
Natalie Samalu.
George Kirbyson, Director of Light Rail Maintenance.
Craig Norman, Director of Engineering and Construction.
Vincent Beatty, AVP of Operations.
Blanca Araujo, VP Operations.
Janetta Burnett, Director of Light Rail Operations.
Charity Oakley, Director of Bus Operations.
Alberta Deanda, Superintendent of SAC-RT Go.
I think that's everybody on staff in the room. How about on Zoom? Do we have any staff on Zoom?
No.
No staff on Zoom.
Thank you. Members of the public.
In the room.
Yeah.
Jeff's just getting to the mic.
Jeff Tardigia, advocate, ambassador.
That's it in the room.
Anyone on Zoom?
Good afternoon, all. Sarah Kolaric with the City of Sacramento. I'll be presenting later this meeting.
Okay.
Margie Donovan, SAC-RT Go passenger and advocate. I heard that chuckle.
Any other members of the public on Zoom?
Amy Parkin, Paratransit Inc.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next item will be approval of minutes for August 21st. I know Jean has sent in some edits, and maybe Priscilla can go over them and before we have a motion to approve.
Okay, I thought we might share them as well, but I'm not sure if staff's ready.
Okay, whatever, however you want to do it.
I can call it up too. Just give me a second. Austin and Natalie, you don't have it to pull up?
Are you going to be able to pull them up, or do we need to
Can you pull
read
them
them?
up or no?
Yes, one moment.
Okay, thank you. Because then I don't have to keep digging for them.
You'll need to read them for several of us anyway, at least Frank and I.
Right. And Jean.
Nothing?
The mouse clickers are working on it.
Well, yeah, there we go. It's coming
Here it
up.
is.
It's coming up. Could we go to that second page? And just zoom in on that quite a bit so you can see it. Okay, Jean, so you want me to mention what your edits are? I know you sent this to all of the MAC members, correct?
Correct. Everyone that was on the
Okay.
distribution list, yes.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
this has to do with the I-80 item, correct?
Yes.
Right.
The only place.
And Jean has suggested that we remove the text that indicates that the the detectable warning tiles would be in place with, and he added a bit of new text. This is in that first sentence, no, the second sentence of that paragraph. So it starts with Ms. Floor asked how people who cannot use stairs will access the station while stairs are shut down. Ms. Nilo explained the available elevator access. Mr. Lozano asked if there will be touch-free accessible pedestrian signals and if the new stairway will be closer to the tracks. Mr. Lozano also asked if, and the new text is tactile directional delineators, bars, slash bars tiles would be installed between the bottom of the staircase and the detectable warning at the edge of the platform. Finally, he said stair striping should be yellow. And then there's yellow, orange. I don't see the orange, sorry. Yellow, orange. Ms. Nilo provided the following responses. So you added this new text, which is number one, she did not know what type of accessible pedestrian signals were installed at the city of Sacramento. Two, she would look into the possibility of installing the bar tiles to assist individuals with vision disabilities and being guided to between the stairs and the platform edges. And three, she did not know what shade of yellow were the stair stripings and would report back to Priscilla Vargas. And so that is your, those are your edits.
So I will make my normal outraged comment that I think this is way too much detail. But having said that, I don't object to it. Is there any discussion on the text Jean has asked to insert?
Pam?
Yeah.
I am very grateful that Jean brought up the color of yellow. That is, it seems insignificant, but it makes a difference between a person being able to see it clearly who needs to see the color.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Any discussion by MAC members in the room?
Gene?
Yeah, go ahead, Gene.
I'm sorry that I'm not in the room. I'm sorry,
That's
Charles.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Nobody else asked to talk, so.
Just simply, yeah, it might be detailed, but there were responses, and I think elsewhere in the document, when somebody asked a question, the response was given back. So I think my questions needed to have the responses just to be equity throughout the document. That's all.
Yeah, I made the same comment that I gave to you to staff, so I'm not picking on you specifically, by the way. I've been thinking that for a long time. Okay, any other comments? Any other discussion on the minutes first in Zoom? Nobody? Okay, second in the room. Charlie, recognize whoever.
Yeah, nobody in the room.
Okay, do we need a motion?
I move that the minutes as amended be approved.
Second, Pam Flora.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Abstentions? All right, thank you very much. The minutes have passed. Okay, we're now at public comment, not on the agenda. So we will first, Charlie, I'll let you recognize people on Zoom first and then go to the room. Let you handle it all.
All right, Jeff Tartagia.
Zoom.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff, Zoom.
No matter. No raised hands?
We were trying to help somebody get
Okay.
unmuted. Were there any raised hands, Natalie or Austin?
No, none.
Okay, then Jeff Tartagia in the room.
First thing I will, as not on the agenda, is I don't know whether RT did anything about it, but at 7th Street, there'd been a problem dealing for light rail. And working with Phil, the local council member, and the city of planning department, they have restriped the area between J Street and Merchant, so that I believe there is clear definition, so we do not have the vehicles that have blocked repeatedly the light rail trains going through. The other thing that I've already put in a issue about is related to, for paratransit rides, the Massachusetts signaling of telephone service seems to be delayed. Supposed to be able to pick up at 2 o'clock. Didn't hear anything until after 2:15 after calling through dispatch. I don't know whether that's happening with others, but I also note in trying to listen to what the Massachusetts call makes, I have great difficulty with it on my Android device. I don't know whether it works on other devices. And the last thing I will comment, at the last board meeting, it was extremely difficult to find the public comment context to get into the YouTube site. Here, hopefully it's working so that we'll be able to hear and listen to what's going on. And that's my public comment.
Okay, we may want to come back to your paratransit comment when we do the update. That's something I haven't heard before, so keep that in abeyance. Thank you very much. Let's now go on to the chair's report. First, I want to apologize for not being there today. I had several meetings back to back, and I didn't want to miss any part of this meeting to have to leave or anything like that. So, we just want to remind folks that although we have increased our membership over what we were a year ago, and that's great, we still have a few openings. And so if you know of anybody that is interested, feel free to tell them about us. And the application is on the website, and we're happy to take, people to represent either seniors or people with disabilities. In November, we will be electing a chair and vice chair for the upcoming 2 years. As part of that process, and I had forgotten I had to do it, so I had to get on it. I need to appoint a nominating committee, which I'm trying to finish up today if I can. If not, it's going to be in the next couple of days. That's supposed to be done at this meeting. I have so far appointed Pam, who has agreed to be the chair. And I am hoping that I can have Jean and Melissa to serve. I've asked them, but I've just got around to that, so it's not their fault that they haven't answered me back yet. And so that would be our three if we get that. If not, I will seek some others to serve on that committee. And if either of you can say yes or no right now, that's fine, but I'm not going to put you on the spot and say you have to, because that would be totally
Jean
unfair.
says yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Melissa, do you think you
If
could?
I'm not able to do it at this time, I have a bunch of
Okay.
medical issues going on.
All right. Thank you very much. If there is a third person who would like to volunteer right now, I'll take that. If not, I'll look around and I'll get a hold of you. All right. We'll get that finished, and I will alert everyone as to whom the three members will be. And they will report to the October meeting on a slate of two candidates for the chair and vice chair positions. The bylaws indicate, and this is the way we almost always try to keep to the bylaws, that if the chair is a representative of people with disabilities, then the vice chair would be representative of seniors and vice versa. So that's the way we try and do things. All right, so that is that. Let's see, we are thinking at this point in the executive committee that we may cancel the December meeting. We will have had elections by that time. It gets tough. It's going to be close to Christmas, and it's hard to get a lot of things done that month anyway. So I want to put you on notice. I suppose something could happen between now and then to change our thinking, but did want to at least get that out now. The final thing is that we need to begin soon the development of our work plan for 2026. We have an annual work plan, as most of you know. The work plan consists of a listing of the achievements for this year, and then what we want to get accomplished next year, or at least work on next year. And so what I have been doing, and Charles before me, we get a subcommittee of people, both representatives of people on the executive committee and people who are not, to sort of put a draft together, and staff helps with that, especially the accomplishments part, but they help us in the drafting of it. And we bring the draft to the MAC. It's possible we'd bring it in on November. It might not happen till January. It's from year to year. We never quite know how quickly the progress is going to be. But we want to get it adopted if we can by January. It does have to be approved by the board of directors. I've never seen one that didn't, but that's always a possibility. They have that authority. And so we need to send it to the board. So I am looking today We haven't appointed the full committee. I'm looking today for a member of who is not on the executive committee, who would like to be on that committee to work on a draft. We meet, you do some of your work on your own, and then we meet as a committee to take care. So is there a member of the MAC who is not on the executive committee who wishes to be on that committee? All right, I will look for a person, and so you may get voluntold by me to seek your assistance on that committee. Charlie and I will powwow over this and see who we can get. But it's really important that particular committee, because we really put in, it's not arduous work, but you really have to start thinking about what we're going to be doing next year, and it gives you an opportunity to go over what we have done and what we need to do. So I would urge you, if you want to become more involved, this is really an interesting way of getting your foot in the door. Okay, that concludes my chair report. And we will now go on to the first item of old business. And so it's the S700 LRV post-launch update. And it's the Vincent and George show. So, gentlemen, you're up.
Good afternoon. Hope you're all having a great afternoon today. Just briefly, not a whole lot to update from our last meeting. I think it's still pretty fresh from just a few weeks ago, but we did get the 4 cars that we were awaiting CPUC approval placed into service. So that brings us up to 26 vehicles now in service. And we received car number 429 yesterday, and that'll be the first LRV that has the side view mirrors. So you'll see a little bit of a difference with that. We are on track to get an additional 2 vehicles accepted here in the next week to 2 weeks. We're trying to get them through the acceptance process by the end of the month for part of that program. And we're doing well. The purchase orders have been supplemented with, or submitted, I should say, with the vendors for the Change 11, Amendment 11 items that we've talked about in the past with the upgrades to the ramp sequencing and all those things. So that is in work. Some of the ones that are software driven, we're hoping to have beginning implementation in the next probably 6 weeks. I'm hoping that we'll be ready to start implementing some of the software updates, get through regression testing to make sure that we've got good software, and then we'll be pushing that out to the fleet. And I think that's pretty much all we needed to update. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay, Charlie, I'm going to let you facilitate the whole discussion thing.
Okay. Any MAC members in the room have questions? Oh, okay, Helen.
Melissa.
Oh, Melissa, sorry.
You said you were gonna implement the software updates. Does that mean that the ramp thing will be taken care of so that we can't, so that nobody can override my ramp request?
Yes, that's one of the ones. So we have 2 that are software related, that being the big one. And we're hoping that we'll have software here in the next 6 weeks or so to start getting that implemented in. It's already in work with the vendors. We did some preliminary beta testing with it before we got the amendment through, and we've proven that it works. Now it's just getting the software written. We did it in kind of a testing phase in the Siemens plant where we were able to adjust what inputs and outputs we wanted from the system itself to verify that it would work, and that has been done already. So now the software itself is being written to make those changes part of the programming, and then we'll get that implemented on the LRVs.
Yay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else in the room?
Helen.
Okay, Helen.
You said there were 2 items that were being done by the software. What was the other?
Yeah, so the other one is it somewhat impacts the customers with so right now the way that the LRVs are set up is we have automatic announcements that get made through the system, right? So when you enter the car, you'll hear doors are closing, please stand by or whatever as we get ready to go back into motion. If the operator needs to make a manual announcement through the PA system, right now they activate a button that overrides the automatic announcement system. And the way that it's currently designed, they have to deselect that option for the automatic announcements to pick up. If they forget to do that, it holds that override. So the automatic announcements won't make as they're supposed to. So we're able to correct that through software, and that's the other software change that's being made.
Okay, and what about the location of the speakers? Because that seems to be a really
That's already in motion. So that's already a current field modification that's being made. We've got about half the LRVs that have been where the deployment chime is lowered down to about 3-foot level. And we've got, I think, another 12 or 13 vehicles to go to get that done. And that's a little bit more involved because it has some wiring that needs to be run and stuff like that. But that's already in motion. We've already started that several weeks ago. So you'll probably hear differences if you're out in the system with cars that have been done versus those that haven't.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else in the room? MAC member? Any MAC member on Zoom that has a question? Just speak up.
Gene.
Yes, Gene.
To follow up Helen's question, how long will you be, basically, this has to do with the lowering of the speakers and that the chime, the sound will still be coming from behind the closed doors in the inside. What is the trial period to determine whether it is effective or not? Because there is a lot of people who still, in the blind community, still feel that it's not going to be that much different than where it is currently at the higher level. That is, the sound needs to be emitted from outside. So I'm just wondering, how long will you evaluate to determine whether it does or does not need to be changed?
So right now, the plan is that will be a good change, that we did some testing to verify that it is clear as the speaker is moved down. It's something similar that was done in Portland. On the Portland cars, they did a similar program to change the location of the speakers there, and it significantly improved the complaints that they were getting that were related to not being able to hear the ramp chime. If for some reason we get a lot of feedback after this is fully implemented, I'd say after a period of a few weeks, we should know whether or not it's going to be something that's continuing to be a problem. Then we would regroup and take another look at other options.
Okay, that's fair. Just a little footnote. As you know, the aging population is increasing its number. One of the functional limitations is deterioration in hearing. There are many conditions that cause blindness, diabetes being one of them that affects hearing. So it may sound perfect for somebody with good hearing, but it may not be true for those that have impaired hearing, or the proper term would be hard of hearing. But
yeah, understand. Yep, I totally understand that.
Thank you. I'm finished, Charles.
Okay. Any other MAC member on Zoom have a question? Okay, hearing none. Any members of the public on Zoom? Come back here. Hearing none, any member of the public in the room have a question? Jeff.
This is Jeff in the room. Two questions I have is one is related to the we call portable seating, that priority seating that closes the spring in there. I did only manage to get on at the county administration building, and I flipped up both seats in the rear car. By the time it got to Capitol, one of them fell down. So just wanting to bring up the concern about springs being where either so tight that you can't get them up or so loose that they fall down. Just a heads up, something I think you're aware of, but I don't know that you've addressed the problem. The second thing when I got off here at 13th Street is determining that it was going to deploy the ramp. I usually have to look at the bottom of the step to see when it begins to change to clearly show me. And unfortunately, now I'm only seeing with one eye. So I'm not seeing that signal showing me that it's deploying the ramp. I thought you were going to be putting a light up on top that was going to show that the ramp was being deployed from the inside.
So real quick, Jeff, the seat issue, if you happen to find that in the future, report that. Yeah, report that if you could, because so we do a weekly safety inspection on all the vehicles, and that's something that we would definitely catch in our weekly inspection. However, if something happens in the middle of that weekly process, let somebody know. They'll report it to us, and then we'll bring the car in and get it changed. There's a couple of shocks on there that dampen the deployment of those fold-up seats. And certainly, we would address that in between that weekly inspection time. We don't want that to fall down and hurt somebody, but we do inspect those weekly. As far as the light, so right now the lights are on the door buttons themselves. They change phase basically at like the 3-foot level. The only thing that you'll see above is there's an actual light that will blink when the doors are in motion one direction or the other. But the lighting on the actual push to open buttons changes phase as you request. Now with this new implementation, it's going to change color as well from the time that you request the door to when the car comes to a stop and now the doors are actually opening. It will change color. It will change from red to green. But that's the only two visual methods right now that you have to let you know that a ramp or a door is deploying.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you.
One last query. Any questions from anybody either on Zoom or in the room? I think we're done.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Sure.
Hey, thank you, George. Okay,
Sorry,
so
we have a question from Margie.
okay.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Margie. We cannot hear.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you, Margie.
Had to pull my microphone down.
I think we lost. Anyway, go ahead, Margie.
Well, my question, is the gentleman still here?
We have, yeah.
Okay. So here's my question. I'm a little bit confused. So I understand that there's all these visual warnings, that the door's been requested from the outside, that the door is in movement. And I'm thinking, I'm a blind person. I want to get up. I want to get off the car. And I pushed a button. I have no indication accessible to me that someone outside has requested it. How would I know that? Since I can't see the blue light.
So Margie, this is Vince Beatty, the AVP of operations.
Hey,
So
Vince.
you'll get a tone, but now what happens is the request holds the door. Now it doesn't until it just doesn't do it now. The door, the operator can clear the door. With this new software, the operator gets an alert that there's been a request for that door, for that ramp, and the operator cannot clear it. So the ramp has to go through its motion with this new software, and that's the piece that brings us all together.
So are we, I guess if the ramp is deploying and someone's coming on in a chair or whatever they need, so we can't disembark until that whole process is complete, or we need to go to another area to get off the train.
So if you push the button to get off, is that what you're asking? If you're on the
Yes.
train? Yeah. So if you
Yes.
push the button to get off, you'll be allowed to get off. If that person from the outside or the person from the inside has pushed the ramp button, the doors will close. The train will not be able to move until that
Gotcha.
cycles back with the
Gotcha.
ramp. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
All right, so we're going to go on. We're going to skip item B for now, which is the Artigo item. And we're going on to items C and D. And for both of those items, we have James Drake. So, James, first we'll have comprehensive operational analysis, and then we'll have the SAC-RT Flex update. The floor is yours.
Hey, he's on his way to the mic.
All right, thank you, Jeff, and good afternoon, members of the MAC. First, quick update on the comprehensive operational analysis. You'll probably recall there were kind of two main elements to this project, an update to our short-range plan and an update to our long-range plan. We started off with the short-range plan update, and that's probably about 75% complete. We're now kind of changing gears to our long-range plan update. With our short-range plan update, there have been some changes to the timeline for that. We had intended to bring that out for public review, kind of end of summer, early fall. Right now, we're kind of tabling that public review. We're kind of bring that deliverable to an admin draft state internally, but hold on that for public review with emphasis changing over to the long-range plan. The long-range plan, as I've probably mentioned in past presentations, is very much tied in with SAC-RT's effort to bring a new sales tax or other local funding measure to the November 2026 ballot. And for some of you who've been following that news, I'll give a brief update on that. That's not my main area, but I can relay a little bit of updates on that. SAC-RT has been working cooperatively with our partners, specifically, but not limited to, the Sacramento Transportation Authority, who administers current Measure A sales tax. We've been trying with our partners and our other agencies to reach a decision on an approach to a new local funding measure, who would lead the effort, what it would entail, those kinds of things. The way that relates to the COA and the long-range plan is the long-range plan effort of our COA will do a number of scenarios. We'll do like a worst-case scenario where if SAC-RT has no new funding, hard decisions we may have to make. And we'll do scenarios where if we have new funding, what we could do with that. You all know that SAC-RT is facing some financial difficulties, as is San Francisco Muni, BART, most of the California agencies, especially notably in the papers out in Philadelphia. So a long-range plan scenario and a new funding measure type scenario would do the financial arithmetic to show how some of those funds would be used to fill the hole and what we could do with the remainder of those funds. It's been one of our goals with this project to have on a timely basis a plan that is more or less shovel ready to be used should a public agency or a citizens group move affirmatively to put a local funding measure on the ballot. We've wanted there to be an option in place where a funding measure could say, if you vote yes for this, it will approve, fund, and enact the regional transit long-range plan. In that way, we've wanted to model ourselves after other communities where that's been successful. I was actually just out last month in Denver where they had the famous Fast Tracks project, big kind of seminal agency defining project over multiple decades. They built the public support and they did a major funding program to build a lot of rail and other projects in Denver. And I'll actually be traveling early next month up to Seattle, where similarly they've had the Sound Transit project. It's a plan, long-range vision for the entire region that was put to the voters with that name recognition. And that's been the basis for Seattle to have been growing all these years. While a lot of other transit agencies have been cutting back, they've been building light rail, building service, and growing ridership. So we've wanted similar kind of thing to be an option here. We've wanted, our job in planning. We don't do campaigns. We don't do funding measures. We do plans, but it's up to us to put together an option that is technically sound, fiscally sustainable, and publicly supported. So we're excited to be kind of transitioning to that long-range plan phase of the project. We expect to go out for public review before the end of this year, try to get things adopted very early next year, around January or thereabouts. Related to that effort, we've been in the community with the Transit Idea Exchange workshops, where we've been doing breakout groups, asking riders, trying to assess their interest in supporting more transit, and probably most interesting to me, playing a little funding game where we've kind of simplified the prices and fiscal impacts of what we could do with a funding measure. We've basically looked at how much new revenue we'd have from a 1/4-cent sales tax. And we've looked at the project costs for a lot of key projects. And we've tried to, well, I wouldn't say use the real costs. I will say use realistic costs and simplify it down to kind of monopoly money, where we can say to game participants, if you had $100, what would you spend it on? And it's been very interesting to see the results emerge from that process. At this point, I think we've had 164 different participants through in-person meetings and online, both as part of the COA and through our government affairs unit. And top results, I'd say thus far, the number one thing on the list is at the $1 mark, more bus stop improvements and shelters for the waiting environment at stops. Number 2 is late night service. Also for $1, we could go to 11 p.m. service on our top 8 routes. And then coming in number 3, for $2, keeping and continuing Ride Free RT, our current student-free ride program. And then for $15, our frequent grid network is what we call it. It's an investment in the top 8 bus routes to bring them up to 15-minute frequency and create kind of a big city network of those core routes at 15-minute frequency. We have 2 more of these transit idea exchanges on the schedule. You can find them on sacrt.com. But I'll tell you right now the dates for them. They'll be, and these will both be virtual meetings via Zoom. The first one will be Tuesday, September 30th at 6:30 p.m. And the second one will be the day after on Wednesday, October 1st at 10 a.m. As I mentioned, the short range plan, we are still trying to bring that to completion, at least at an internal admin draft level. And that includes not only minor route and schedule changes on a cost neutral basis, but also some kind of updates to our service standards, as well as a potential fare change, not of a major kind of nature, but we've been looking mostly at the difference between the Elk Grove fare and the SAC-RT fare. And that may be something that we end up bringing forward for public review before the end of the year for potential implementation in January. But it's still a little premature to say definitively if or when that will go forward. I think with that, I'll pause or stop here for questions before the next item. Thank you.
Right, very good. Are there any questions for James from MAC members on Zoom? Just speak up.
Yes, Regine.
Yes.
Go ahead, Jean.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, now we
Hello?
can.
We can hear you.
Okay, sorry. The funding, one of your options, are you looking into creating a property assessment district where assessing the determination of where most people are using transit? I'm trying to think of about 30 years ago, and there was an assessment district approved but not funded for paratransit, and where any single-family home was $2.50 annually, and the something like a hospital, something like that, was a few $100s, and depending on the size of the property, and that would bring transit there, and that's probably comparing apples and oranges, but that's kind of the analogy. Is that something that's being looked at too, developing a property assessment district?
I wouldn't say that's something that's being looked into for like the current effort. I will say that there are some programs like that on the books already here in Sacramento. And I will say, I know down in the Bay Area, they make some use of parcel tax, for instance, for transit funding. But here in Sacramento, the existing Measure A is a sales tax. And, there certainly are criticisms of sales tax as a funding mechanism. Although those who don't have anything are always pretty happy to get sales tax, as we would be. What we do have on the books here in Sacramento with regard to property tax is, or not property tax per se, but property-based funding is in Sacramento County, there is an impact fee program that provides for money for transit on a one-time basis when properties are first entitled and built. That is usually limited toward capital projects. So we'll use that to purchase buses. We can use that, put it towards bus garages, light rail facilities, things of that nature. And then we also have originally in the county, but also in the city of Sacramento and in the city of Rancho Cordova, there are property-based funding mechanisms that provide operating funding. So examples of that would be the Rancho Cordovan service that we run under contract with the city of Rancho Cordova, and the former Jibe commuter bus service that we used to run under contract with formerly the North Natomas TMA, now North Natomas Jibe. The two main funding sources for those are principally straight out of the property tax bill. The exact vehicle for it, I forget. It may be a Mello-Roos or a CFD or something along those lines, but it generates revenue that's eligible for transit operations. And there are, in the Vineyard area of the county, there are also some programs in place like that, generating a small amount of revenue that we have used for some smaller programs and hope to do more with in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other MAC member on Zoom?
No, none of them.
Okay, hearing none. MAC members in the room, any questions for Jane?
Helen. Hi.
Helen, yeah.
You're going to ask for legislation for a proposal to go on the ballot, correct?
Not necessarily specifically legislation. There's a couple different avenues for something like that. And I won't profess to be an expert in that, but as I understand it, a ballot measure could be placed on the ballot either by an agency or by a citizens group. So Sacramento Transportation Authority would probably be the first example of a potential agency to do that. I believe SAC-RT also has the authority to do that under certain conditions. And then if a citizens group does it, that's another avenue. And, there's signature requirements and stuff like that, but
Right.
I couldn't tell you then.
So how could we get information on who is proposing what kind of ballot measure ahead of time so that we can make an informed decision on which one we would like to back up so that it might pass.
I think the person I'd refer you to would probably be Deborah Salinas with SACRT. I mean, it's certainly a multi-agency effort. So I could rattle off some names at other agencies as well as some advocacy groups as well. And you probably know many of the names and people affiliated with them, but officially speaking for SACRT, that effort's being led by Deborah. So I'd point you in her direction.
Thank you. Another thing I have is, so the short-term plan should be released for review towards the end of the year, this year?
Yeah, we don't have a firm fixed date on that. And I think to be forthright about it, we've wanted to change the focus to the long-range plan. Because not unlike SFMTA and BART and others, the agency budget is
squeaky,
a big concern. And the short-range plan, the most operative part of it is cost neutral route and schedule changes, move a little from here to there. And so it takes a lot of time and effort to push those things through. And those can generate outcry as well, even if it's a minor change taken from Route X and given to Route Y. Whoever's riding Route X will always be a little displeased with that. And I think the agency right now wants to kind of keep its eye on the ball on the big picture with the long range plan and kind of put those short range changes, like I said, bring them to an internal admin draft. So they're ready to go when the time might be a little better to pull the trigger on those.
One hand doesn't know what the other one's doing. Okay. So the short range plan is on hold until further notice. And the long range plan seems to be infrastructure first. And I know that Henry Lee is very focused on getting infrastructure money, but I am very concerned that we might have a whole bunch of buses and a whole bunch of trains and light rail workers, but we won't have operational expense money to pay them for the services that the operators do. Again, benefits packages should be across the board. And if one section doesn't get the same type, not necessarily the same amount, but the same type of benefits, that's not equitable. And that's questionable. I'm also concerned that if people don't get a wage that is competitive with their type of service in other jurisdictions, then they have a tendency to start in one place and move to the other because there's such a gap. Okay? That's hurting RTGO. Point blank. RTGO is getting less money than everybody else, yet it is a mandated program. You have to provide this service. And right now, it's not the greatest. So those are concerns that I have, and I think those should go under short-term plans because we can't wait 3 years, 4 years to get that addressed. Thank you.
Might
thank you,
respond on the operating versus capital comment and maybe quarrel with you a little bit on priorities. I mean, it's premature to say what the priority of the plan is, but I would definitely say there's a major emphasis on operating, that it's maybe not all about capital and assets. The need for additional funds in the operating budget right now is a ballpark about $60 million per year. And one reason that SAC-RT hasn't had to do anything more drastic like service cuts or a fare increase at this point is our ability to essentially kind of borrow from the capital program. We normally think of the capital program as purchasing new assets, fleet or stations or infrastructure. But capital dollars that we get from the federal government can be used somewhat flexibly to pay like labor expenses for maintenance personnel. And we have done that in the past, and that is a way in the future that we could bridge that hole in the operating budget. But when you do that, it does take money that really is kind of intended for capital and puts it to a cost that really is preventative maintenance. And that's fine, but it will necessarily mean that you have less money to buy replacement fleet, to refurbish stations and those things. And so there are consequences to that. So you may hear in discussions that we need to do this so that our capital program is kept intact. But it's maybe kind of just a matter of rhetorical subtlety. I mean, I think it's fair to say that it is all about, at the end of the day, I think it's fair to say we're trying to avoid having to cut service or raise fares. It's very much an operational question.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Any
Question? Oh, I'm sorry.
are you finished, Helen?
Yeah, but Melissa.
Oh, Melissa. Okay, we need to move along here. So go ahead, Melissa.
Just one more thing. I heard you say that you're gonna keep, as of right now, we're keeping the free rides for the kids, and I assume there's certain days during the year that are also free that I don't know which ones they are, but I see them all the time on advertised. To me, and this is just from a public perspective, it's really hard to sell a tax on something else if I know that a whole class of people are riding for free.
Yeah, I see. I mean, I suppose opinions may differ. I think the student free ride program has generally been really well received and considered to be pretty big benefit to an equitable group at a reasonable cost. So we think it's been a good program, and we think it would score well or poll well in a potential funding measure to help lend support. But I do see what you mean. Why would people say I think I can see both sides.
That's I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Well, I'm going to make a comment, Melissa. I'd have to vehemently disagree with you. I wouldn't want to be the body that asked for things and then, said we shouldn't be having a free ride program for school children. So I just have to say that.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Starting members from the public in the room. Jeff Tartagia. And let's be brief. We need to move on.
James Drake, as a member of Trust, I'm wondering what you're aware of dealing with Fresno's efforts on the, shall we say, tax measures, and what you're aware of is New Mexico and other areas across the region. All I've heard so far is here in California, what you've come up with. And I will also agree with Melissa that I think what needs to happen is instead of saying free, it says subsidized, because that's the reality. It's a subsidized ride system that will hopefully develop better transit riders in the future. And that's my public comment.
Well, I'll try to keep brief. I know we're trying to keep the meeting moving along, and it's always dangerous to let a planner get the microphone.
Actually, the first question, I don't know if that's really something that you should even try and answer, James, honestly.
Yeah, I know Fresno, I think I had heard, was putting something on the ballot. And I will say, we spoke recently with colleagues in San Francisco and about how helping out the MTA was a major priority for the mayor's office. And they have a new mayor there. So I'll just say, the situation in each community, I think, depends a lot on that community's priorities among the elected officials. And we need a lot of help here, but there's a lot of other causes that are also clamoring for help.
Okay, thank you. All right. Lastly, members from the public on Zoom. Raise your hand, speak up.
None.
Okay, we're
anyone on
going to
Zoom?
move on
Yep.
to item D. So why don't you give us a brief SAC-RT Flex update, James? Thank you.
Almost forgot I was on for the next item. Yeah.
We
yeah.
got you here, man. You're trapped.
Yeah, thank you once again, members of the MAC. So SAC-RT Flex, our program, our pilot is now about 8 months through our 18-month contract with VIA, who provides our service. They're on contract through June 30th, 2026. Ridership has been averaging about 110 riders per day on SAC-RT Flex, which is about a seventh of what we moved on Smart Ride. But SAC-RT Flex from the beginning has been understandably kind of a lifeline service to help out the people the most disadvantaged when Smart Ride was discontinued at the beginning of the year. The biggest change on SAC-RT Flex occurred on Tuesday, September 2nd, the day after Labor Day, when we launched or reintroduced on-demand service. As you probably know, SAC-RT Flex prior to that was strictly a book in advance service. When we opened it, we had concerns about if there'd be enough vehicle capacity. It turned out there was. So with that in mind, we brought back the on-demand option, and we immediately saw ridership requests pick up, not to an uncontrollable level, but we now think all the former idle time we had, where some vans were occasionally sitting idle, that should be completely absorbed now. We'll be operating at full capacity, fully booked, which is where we want to be. It looks like we'll be moving about 150 to 160 customers per day now. It looks like most customers will continue to book their rides in advance for that certainty that they have a ride. And then the gaps that we have in the schedule will most likely be filled in same day with on-demand requests. Other minor changes, the eligibility program on July 1st was transferred to customer service. Jamie and her team are doing a nice job on that. And just to report on the financials, we've been pleased with the performance. Smart Ride was a very well-liked program, obviously, but wound down because we were spending over $8 million a year on it and only had about $800,000 of dedicated revenues for it. With SAC-RT Flex, our cost per year is about $1.5 million, and we have about $800,000 dedicated for that special revenue for neighborhood shuttles from the STA. And we're now in the process of securing what we think will be another $700,000 a year from the PUC. That's, again, kind of special purpose restricted, available only for services like this. So we think this service basically kind of pays for itself with special grants. And on top of that, we also think it's helping out a little bit with our SAC-RT Go paratransit costs, which are always growing. We've tried to quantify it. And we think maybe about $150,000 per year in cost on SAC-RT Go paratransit is saved because people who have the option, who live in the same area, will sometimes opt to take SAC-RT Flex instead of SAC-RT Go. It's half the price, and it may be a more preferable ride for them. So we view it as kind of a win-win because it's a less expensive ride for us to provide, but it's less out of pocket for those customers. The only change we have potentially on the horizon right now is we are considering potentially a higher fare for the on-demand ride requests because we are getting more of those requests than we can provide with the fleet we have. So we're turning people away. I wouldn't say it's quite like Smart Ride where we had a lot of trip denials, but we're turning enough away that we think we could consider raising that price to sort of a more premium fare for those on-demand rides to kind of encourage people to book in advance when they know, and kind of right price that on-demand option. Probably still lower than the paratransit price, but higher than the regular price for an advanced reservation. With that, I'll take questions.
Okay, I just I'm gonna let Charlie go ahead with it, but try to limit yourself to one question per member so we can make sure we get through to our other items.
All right, okay. MAC members in the room?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Helen.
I was at the board meeting last time, and Lisa Hines said that we are attempting to find safe locations to board our passengers. I was ill at the time, and I didn't feel like tackling that subject. So, what does that mean? I mean, there are no places around where I live where somebody can pull off the road to board assistive devices. So I'm not quite sure what she meant. And she said that RT didn't have any incidences. That didn't answer my question that I had earlier, was what is the safety record of rear entry vehicles?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you can answer that, or if you want to email me. You've got all my information. Thank you.
Yeah, I know you've raised some concerns, Helen, about the rear entry wheelchair loading. I can't say here on the spot, numerically or definitively. Qualitatively, I'd say I think it's worked well. I mean, you've obviously registered concerns, but I wouldn't characterize it as a situation that's generated like a considerable volume of complaints. Our provider has reported that they use rear entry in most of their implementations. And in general terms, it may have some disadvantage in urban areas, but in the suburban and rural areas, they find it often is easier to load that way. But I don't know that I can get into any more detail than that. I would be happy to look into that with our operations and contract management team, though.
Thank you. Just send me an email.
Okay, you got it,
Thanks.
Helen.
Thanks, Helen. Any other questions from members in the room? Okay, seeing none. Any questions on this topic from members on Zoom? Anyone? All right. Any members of the public, quickly, on Zoom? In the room?
No.
Okay. In the room? All right. Thanks a lot, Jamie.
Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate it. All right, Jeff.
Thank you, James. All right, we are now going to SACADAP, Transportation Infrastructure Adaptation Plan, and it's Sarah Kolarik, who is the Sustainability Analyst for the City of Sacramento. So, Sarah?
Yes, thanks, Jeff. Hi, everybody. This is Sarah Poe. I'm going to go first before Sarah Kolarik jumps in. But thanks. It's really great to be here again. Sarah Poe, I'm a senior planner with SAC-RT. And I'm here just to introduce a project update for the Transportation Infrastructure Adaptation Plan that SAC-RT has been working on in partnership with the City of Sacramento. And that plan is known as SAC-ADAPT. We came to the MAC and talked about SAC-ADAPT earlier in the year, but just to refresh real quick, it's a plan that we're developing that looks at climate change and how extreme weather conditions impact the transportation infrastructure in the city, and ways that we can be more resilient to climate change by proposing new projects or programs or policies that will help us strategize and adapt and be more resilient. So we're now just starting up our second phase of outreach for the project, and here to give the detailed presentation of where we're at and what kind of insight we're looking for at this point is Sarah Kolarik with the City of Sacramento.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sarah. I do have a slide deck to show, so let me know if I should share my own screen or if the presenters want to bring up the slides for the presentation.
We have those slides, correct? Oh, we got those a while ago. Okay, I'm not sure if we can find the slides, so Sarah, maybe wouldn't mind pulling up on your end to share?
Yes, I
Thank
can
you.
go ahead and share that. Just bring that up. One moment. Excellent. Okay, let me share my screen and thank you for your patience bearing with me. Hybrid setup. Can I get screen sharing abilities? Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Excellent. Okay, so kicking off this presentation, this is my first slide, just a simple background slide with this mock City of Sacramento skyline. So thank you again, MAC members, for having this presentation come back to you. Thank you, Sarah, for a great recap of the plan. So the SAC Adapt Transportation Adaptation Plan, quite a mouthful, but it's something that I'll break down over the course of this presentation. As Sarah said, I presented to you about this plan earlier in the year, but I'll give you a recap of the planning effort. I will give you an update on where we're at this point in the project, and then let you know how you can get involved and share your feedback and what type of feedback we're interested in hearing, particularly at this stage of the project, to be able to shape our next steps. A couple of key details. Want to acknowledge that this is a grant-funded planning effort, and we're appreciative of having these funds from Caltrans in addition to RT's partnership on this project. It was a collaborative grant application, and so we appreciate getting to work with them on this work. So when we talk about extreme weather in Sacramento, I'm mostly talking about four key risks. And those risks are illustrated on the slide in photos, which I'll describe. So the first one is extreme heat, and we've got a photo in the upper left-hand corner showing just a kind of a hot day with Tower Bridge baking in the sun. We also have an inset photo of a temperature sensor from someone's front yard where the temperature reads 123.4 degrees Fahrenheit. So obviously reflecting one of our very hot Sacramento summer days. In the upper right hand, we have a photo of the Sacramento River at Tower Bridge, where the Sacramento River is almost at the base of the bridge. This was after a dam release, and the water level is so high that it has flooded the West Sacramento River walkway. So you see stairways just going down into nothing. This is a key example of the way that high rains can impact our ways in moving around our transportation system. In the bottom left, there is a photo of multiple trees and a street light that has been downed as a result of an extreme storm. So some rain impacts in addition to wind. As some folks may remember, in early 2023, we had a series of extreme storms, and this is a photo capturing some of those impacts where there were many roadways that were blocked because of downed trees and other debris. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, we have a photo of the Sacramento skyline that is clouded in smoke, with air quality being a key concern as we experience climate change impacts. It's a sort of secondary impact as extreme heat makes it easier for certain types of air pollutants to form, in addition to the greater wildfire risk that we experience as a state with those air quality impacts severely impacting the Sacramento Valley as smoke and other pollution collects in our valley. So these 4 risks are not new to Sacramento. I'm sure everybody in this room has experienced these impacts at some point. But we are seeing these impacts get more frequent and intense as the result of climate change. And that is the key thing that we're thinking about when it comes to how prepared our transportation system is to be able to function in these different types of extreme weather events and to make it comfortable and still safe for folks to get around in these extreme weather events. So when I'm talking about this plan, really the key components are that we are trying to prepare Sacramento's transportation system for extreme weather events, those heat, extreme storms, wind, smoke impacts. And when I talk about transportation, I am talking about every part of transportation. So there, of course, are roads and cars, but importantly, we're thinking about active transportation, so walking, bicycling, rolling, and taking public transportation.
Celebrating or something in here?
I'm on the board of
Taking
Sacramento.
the bus or the light rail.
Meeting.
Or in the meeting? Okay.
It sounds like someone.
Yeah, Frank, I think you need to mute. Did you mute him? Okay, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. From there, we're looking to identify actionable policy and maintenance recommendations. It may also be specific project or material recommendations. We'll give some more examples of that in a few slides. And then another key piece is to try to set us up for success for future funding to implement these projects. And particularly when I'm talking about funding, it's frequently grant funding, which is a core part especially for the city. And I know that it's important for RT to advance projects through grant funding because the project costs do add up. And so we will need to be strategic and be careful about prioritizing our efforts so that we can really make sure that we're making an impact in the best way we can. So a little overview of the timeline for this project of how will we get there. We started work in this project at the end of 2024, but really in early 2025 when we last presented to the MAC, we were working on understanding current and future risks to our transportation system. As part of that work, we conducted a literature review where we looked at different plans from our T side and from the city side to see what type of past analysis has taken place, what other existing planning documents are important to guide this planning effort. We also conducted a vulnerability assessment where we were analyzing the specific climate projections for how much more intense extreme heat is likely to get in Sacramento, or what type of changing frequency and intensity of extreme storms is likely to happen. From there, we were looking at the specific types of impacts on our transportation system. So when it comes to extreme heat, what are we concerned about for city infrastructure? What are we concerned about for RT infrastructure? And from there, identifying specific strategies of how to move forward. An example of that, in particular for comfort of folks using our transportation system in an extreme heat day, without any sort of adaptation strategies like shade or other water resources or other ways of cooling, it's going to be very uncomfortable and in some cases unsafe for folks to walk, bike, roll, or take transit. So that's an example of how we were thinking through those pieces. We're currently in the process of identifying and prioritizing recommendations. So that's trying to identify what we can do about those risks that we were identifying in the first phase. And this in particular is where we are seeking feedback from community members to help guide where we can push the most on certain strategies, in particular to support people taking transit and using active transportation in extreme weather conditions. And I'll highlight a couple of those key ways to get involved in the last slide. Early next year, we will finalize the plan, meeting our grant deadline of April 2026. And throughout this process, we've been trying to stay very engaged with the general public, as well as collaborating closely with agency stakeholders from the city and RT, including planners, engineers, operators, maintenance staff, to make sure that we're on the right track and we're incorporating all the key perspectives into our adaptation strategies. So I'll give you a couple of specific examples because a lot of this can be very high level and theoretical. So we may be looking at different materials to shape how we rebuild streets or potentially how we invest in bus stops, as an example. This could be to improve durability of infrastructure when it is facing those heat stressors or storm stressors, or to improve comfort of the individual experience. For example, at a bus stop on a hot day, how can we support improved shading? And that could be through trees or through other techniques. We may be looking at new or relocated infrastructure, either to increase the redundancy of routes or particularly for floods to raise certain types of infrastructure just to avoid or mitigate the flood risk as much as possible. There's certain recommendations that we will have around maintenance and operations to further mitigate risks. It can be related to how transit is operated during a high heat day to make sure that there are no issues with light rail track expansion, for example. And then finally, emergency preparedness is a component of this plan. How can we best support additional outreach and education of the general community and support staff trainings to make sure that we are all prepared for emergencies? So this is where I'm looking to all of you for feedback and some of your help. So there's a couple of different items. So I'll go through the 3 key components. So the first one being we have an online survey that is available for a response. We really would appreciate your response by November 1st. On the screen, I have a QR code. I can also put the survey link in the chat to make sure it is included in the meeting notes. The survey link is also available in multiple locations online. And one of those locations is the project website. So you can visit the project website, which is cityofsacramento.gov/SACADAPT, and that's SACADAPT, to explore different events where the project team will be tabling in person and talking with folks. The survey link is on there. There's a link to be able to email me as the project manager, and there's some additional background about the project. And then you also can stay up to date with this project as well as other sustainability initiatives from the city with the Sustainable Sacramento newsletter. And that sign up link is in the slide. And you can go to cityofsacramento.gov/sustainability news to get signed up for that newsletter. This final slide has my email address on there, skolarek@cityofsacramento.org. It also has Sarah Poe's email address as the RT project manager for this collaborative planning effort. And it has a repeat of the project website link and a beautiful photo of a tree providing some great shade in front of City Hall. So with that, I'd love to take any questions, and knowing that we're tight on time, if folks want any questions or follow up separately, I'm really happy to continue this dialogue. So if there's anything that we don't get to address now, we can make sure to circle back.
Okay, so Priscilla, maybe you could work with Sarah Poe or Sarah Kolar, either one, but Sarah Poe is the easiest for you probably, to make sure that all of the information about where we can go to do the survey and the updates and all the contact info can go out to the entire MAC so that we can, I mean, this is a really interesting topic, and I don't want to discourage questions, but it would be appreciated if you would only ask a question if you really had a burning item that you might not find out any other way. So with that, I'll turn it over to Charlie.
All right. So with that advisory from Jeff, any questions by MAC members in the room here? Okay, seeing none. Any questions from MAC members on Zoom?
Pam?
And Pam has her hand up. Yes, Pam.
I will be succinct. You may want to, if you haven't already, use any CERT cert materials to get out. I'm thinking public education on this is huge. In particular, things like encouraging people to have water with them if they're going out, have emergency medications with them if they're going out. I don't know if it's even feasible, but things like even bus drivers having extra water on hand in case there's an emergency on their bus, because a lot of people don't plan ahead. But I strongly urge you to, if you haven't, work with CERT. They have excellent considerations.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, CERT is a fantastic partner. We do have some elements of the education piece included in this plan, but I like some of your suggestions. We'll certainly be discussing that, and I'll reach out to the CERT folks to see what else they want to contribute.
Wonderful, wonderful project. Thank you.
Thanks, Pam. Any other MAC members on Zoom? Okay, any members of the public on Zoom?
No.
Hearing none. Jeff Tardigia in the room. Briefly, please. One question.
In looking at your survey, for both Sarah and for you, you don't have any consideration for wheelchairs or other type of means of transportation in there. You have a mark for scooter, which I do happen to have an electric scooter, but I think you're meaning another type of scooter in there. But just note, last survey that Sarah did, it didn't include how to get to light rail if you're using an electric wheelchair. You just say walking, you know, or you say the other things through there. It's a category that you're going to find more of. Thank you.
Thanks,
Jeff. Okay, I think that's it for the subject, Jeff.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to go now to item B with the Sacramento post-launch update. And I don't know whether it's going to be Charity or Alberta or however you ladies would like to proceed. Thank you.
Oh, we've got the duo. Hey, Charity.
All right. Good afternoon, MAC members. I'll do a brief update. Charity Oakley, Director of Buzz Operations. For Sacramento, I would like to give an update on the Sacramento app. The app is currently in the third round of accessible testing for both iPhone and Android devices. This testing includes to make sure that the app meets all the highest standards and usability for all riders. Our goal remains to ensure that the app is fully rolled out, that it meets the highest standards of digital accessibility and inclusive for all Sacramento riders. The second update I have to share is that there was a technical issue affecting some trips being sent to UServe, specifically for riders who had a white cane mobility listed on their rider profile. I'm pleased to report that the root cause has been identified and the issue has now been fully resolved. Now all eligible trips, including those with the white cane mobility indicators, are now being able to be sent to UServe. My last update is an equipment update. As part of our ongoing efforts to improve the Sacramento rider and operator experience, we recently purchased 60 new tablets. So far, we have 20 tablets that are configured and rolled out, and the remaining will be configured and rolled out shortly. In closing, I would like to extend my appreciation to the committee and continue support and feedback. Your input plays a critical role. And we will continue to keep you updated as we move forward on the final stages of testing and preparing for the release of the Sacramento app.
Hey,
Okay, so I'm going to take the prerogative of the first question, and you may have answered it, Charity. I kind of think you have. We, both as riders and drivers as well, noticed that SacRTGO drivers noticed that there was a lot more rides the past couple of weeks that would normally have been UServe rides that were on SacRTGO buses, and this was, of course, causing, less on-time rides for both non-ambulatory and ambulatory because of the need to push all those rides on to the vans. Is that the technical glitch that you were talking about? If it isn't, then I guess I have a follow-up.
So the technical glitch I'm talking about, it was resolved 2 weeks ago, I want to say. And
Okay, so this just started a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know what is happening, but drivers are saying the same thing. There has been quite an uptake, anecdotally. I can't prove that. I don't have, but as I say, drivers are agreeing with me. An uptake in rides that would historically have been likely to go to UServe going to SacRTGO buses, and it's so I don't know what the statistics will show, but it has created various rides for both ambulatory and non-ambulatory patrons that have been late because of the combination of folks on the vans. And so if you don't have an answer for that today, maybe you guys could look into that and tell me whether, it's just we're imagining things, or whether it's really been a problem, or what. But it's noticeable. It's not just one or two rides here or there. We're hearing it from a lot of people.
okay, we'll take a look further into it. I can tell you that the last couple of weeks, our ridership seems to significantly increase, and especially during specific hours of the day. And we closely monitor the trips being sent to UServe the night before, like making sure we still kind of meet our goal. And those numbers have been consistent. So we'll take a deeper dive though to look to see if there's
is that increasing both on RTGO as well as UServe?
Say that again?
Is that increase that you just referred to been both on RTGO and UServe?
And just an increase of total trips in general. And we were still making sure that we're meeting our goal, setting the amount that we've been sending consistently to UServe. We haven't seen a dive in ridership, but we have seen an increase in ridership and Go trips specifically.
Okay. All right. Any questions from members, MAC members on Zoom?
None on Zoom.
None on Zoom. Okay. Questions in the room? Helen?
Hi. You said we're in the third stage of the testing for the app. How many stages are there? And if you could give me a rough estimate of the launch of the final thing, that would be helpful.
So we are in the third round of testing. So let me just share that when you create and you fix something, that they're taking it back to the testers to review it, and then they may have some feedback and small edits, and then the provider's been making those edits, and it goes back to the contractor to review. So we're in that third round. We're hoping to get an update. Well, I was going to say at the end of the week, but tomorrow or early next week regarding what the results of the final testing for or the last round of testing would be. And then from there, we can give you a projected time when we can roll out the app.
Thank you.
Any other questions here in the room? Okay, I have a question. On Monday of this week, I think that was the 15th, I had a ride And they added an additional ride on the way to my destination. And there are two major things. One, the credit card reader on the bus was not functioning. And what is your policy for payment when that credit card reader is not working?
So the direction is if that's the way you're going to pay for your fare for the tap to ride or
Yes, tap to ride,
tap
and
to
I
ride.
announced that when I made the reservation.
Yep. Then if it's not working at the time of the booking, then the operator needs to notify dispatch and then write it on their trouble report so that the maintenance department can resolve the issue. But we would still continue with the ride.
Okay, thank you. The other issue was as follows. One of a ride that was added while I was on the bus took us way out of where I was going, but you know, that happens. And it was to pick up a passenger. And that passenger's wheelchair did not fit the ramp of the bus that I was on. It was too wide. And that person had gotten there on a SAC-RT bus, and the particular bus I was on could not take the chair. The real kicker to that is that the bus I was on was the second bus that they had sent to pick this passenger up, and the first one also could not take the passenger. And so that strike, you know, I felt terrible for the passenger, but you know, it delayed a lot of things, including the passenger. And so apparently there are different widths on ramps that you have on different buses. And that's just a terrible thing to have happen, especially since they sent two buses and neither of them worked.
Yeah, no, you said that was on the same day, on the 15th?
Yes.
Okay, we'll look at the
I
the
can
trip log and see if we can reach out to the writer.
Right, just look up my trip, you can find it. Okay. All right, any other questions on this topic by members of the public, either on Zoom or in the room?
None in Zoom.
None on Zoom? Okay, thanks very much, both of you.
Wow, that was as quick an update as we've had in a long time today. Okay, we'll now go to item F, which is a SAC-RT Go mystery rider update with Jamie Poole Canavari. So, Jamie.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon to the members of the MAC and those in the audience as well as on Zoom. Great to be back and give you all an update on the Mystery Writer program. For those of you who are new or may not know what the Mystery program is, SAC-RT, last year we hired a third-party vendor to evaluate the overall performance and compliance of SAC-RT's transit services. That's going to include fixed route, paratransit, or SAC-RT Go and UServe, as well as light route. And so with this, they use anonymous in-person evaluations to assess the customer experience regarding ADA compliance, safety, and the service reliability. And again, this is across all of our agency's core service lines. With that, I want to share with you, we are currently ranking at 91%. Year to date, we've had 159 evaluations. So 159 times a mystery shopper has evaluated our service, and we are scoring at 91%, which I think is notable. It's commendable. There's a lot of hard work that's put into that. Priscilla and I review every evaluation that comes in as they come in, and we make sure throughout each day we're reviewing those evaluations and we're immediately following up with the departments, and that could be a number of departments. So just wanted to congratulate our T staff, but also our vendor who does these evaluations for us. So again, the 91% is amazing. That actually, it's above what most of our peers rank. And so you'll see on the right-hand side of the slide, I've noted some positive trends. 90% of the scores on the evaluations for fixed route. So that means that for a fixed route service or a big bus, 90% of the time, you know, we're scoring very, very well. Key points: fare collection, driver safety, and clean vehicles. Again, these are all high marks. We're ranking high in this area. Reservations and vehicle safety ranked 100% time and time again. So again, this is our paratransit, our SAC-RTCO. We're getting good scoring there too. The strong ride quality, our riders are feeling safe when riding, and that's all modes. So again, safety and security, it's a common theme. And our ADA compliance, 90% with frequent ramp and kneel response compliance and courteous driver conduct. Again, we want to make sure that our drivers are courteous and that our equipment works. So those are the positive trends, right? I don't have noted here what we could have done better, but there were some areas, right? Because when I was here earlier in the year, we were what, 97%? So I figured I probably would get that question. So I wanted to be prepared. So what do we do? I think, we did have a little bit of a dip. And some of my, my peers have been here the last couple months kind of sharing with you what they experienced, some of the bigger projects that they're working on. So some of the areas where we saw a dip were our announcements. I know George and Vince have been working very, very hard to get those announcements, which they've got corrected, but that's an area where we would see a dip. So when our evaluator was out, they would hear that the announcement didn't play correctly or didn't play at all. We would notice that right away. We would find out, is it part of the bigger project or is it something we can nip in the bud right then and there and get it corrected? So the next time that train or bus is in service, it's ready to go. And that's what we did. Some of the other things that we do when we didn't get the score that we desired, the first thing we do, we actually celebrate wins. So as I was listening to some of the other folks and speakers today, we actually got 2 evaluations that were at 100%, one for light rail, so congratulations, and one for a bus operation. So again, as they come in, we're looking at those, we're celebrating that. We're getting back to the operators and the rest of the staff. So one evaluation could be 3 to 4 different teams, right? You got your bus operations, you got your facilities, and you also have your bus maintenance or light rail maintenance. So we're saying, hey, good job. You did what you were supposed to do. Let's keep it up. We continually monitor and catch those isolated underperformance, which I've just shared with you a number of ways we're doing that. The communication when it comes to a low score or a no in a particular section, we make sure that we're providing refresher training. And so again, working with these departments to make sure that whether it's an operator or a department that they're receiving the refresher training. We reinforce safety, security, and ADA protocols. We're reviewing those dispatch logs to address delays, similar to what Charity's team does when we receive any feedback here, right? We want to go back. What happened that day? Why did this happen? What do we need to do differently so it doesn't happen again? We also conduct our audio diagnostics and we increase our cleaning rotations. And again, we're targeting any type of mitigation or intervention as needed to those problematic locations or stations. And so in conclusion, again, our key wins, our performance remains over 90%, which I stand here today and say is stronger than and higher than most of our peers. And our reservations process and safety, we remain consistently high and rank high in those areas, and all service maintain baseline service reliability. And those are the things that we do great, and some of the areas that we continue to work on so that we could come back and stay consistent with that 90%. And that concludes my presentation and my update for the Mystery Rider program. And I'm available if you have any questions.
Okay, Charlie, go for it.
All right. Any members, MAC members on Zoom have a question for Jamie?
No one on Zoom.
Nobody?
No.
Okay. Any MAC members in the room?
Melissa?
Yes, Melissa.
How many of your mystery riders or whatever have disabilities?
At this
I mean, like,
time,
what percentage?
well, again, I can't say specifically whether or not they do or they don't. So I can't answer that. I know that they, which we've shared in past presentations, the evaluators are trained and the company has a, longstanding background in this type. So we are always looking and working with the vendor to hire. And they've shared with us some of the campaigns that they've done to identify folks in the disabled community that might work well for this program. So while I can't give you an answer specifically, I can say confidently that they do have the training to perform the evaluations. Great. Good question. Thank you, Melissa.
Any other MAC member in the room? Okay, MAC members on Zoom?
This is German. Could you provide us with a copy of what your evaluation looks like?
I believe we could do that. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be a problem. I can definitely route that through Priscilla and her team or come back and go over it with you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sherman.
Any other MAC members? Okay, members of the public in the room, Jeff Tartagia, one question, please.
Yes, I've been on both the 88, the 30, and the 38. And each time I've experienced repeatedly where the Connect card doesn't work. You've said 100%. So what is the rate of, should we say, that the Connect card is not working on buses?
Great question. Well, I don't have those stats today. I am familiar with your reports because you give me a call and I look into them and follow up and find out what's going on. And as far as the rate, I've got reservations and vehicle safety. I can't say specifically that any of the evaluations noted that the Connect card worked perfectly on the bus. So that's my answer for you, but continue to report and we'll go from there.
Could I extend his question to the fare payment at light rails also, the frequency that those are not working?
I know that we did an update at a recent board meeting. Lisa provided an update, and we are aware that there are a number, and we also have a good plan, the best plan we have right now to ensure that one working machine is at each station. And that's a little bit of a change. We were at about 60% working. There is a very high number not working again. But to be completely transparent, we work every week and make sure our transit ambassadors also have the information of what stations are working. And we recently, actually, next week, we launch our new tap to pay, which is going to be coming out soon. So more information on that. So I know that the answer to your specific question is in board document. So we can refer you there for now. But if you have anything specific, certainly let us know. We can get you the info.
Thanks very much. Okay, any other questions for Jamie?
Right here.
Oh, yes, go ahead, Doris.
How often do you do the data? How often? Is it once a year, twice a year?
Well, we have approximately 25 evaluations per month that are done by the evaluators.
Okay.
And so that number I gave earlier was 159. So to date, we've had 159. So each month we're looking at the data. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Great. Anything else?
All right.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Very much, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, so we're on to our last agenda item. And I don't know how well what it is physical changes at light rail stations. And it's for Craig Norman, who's of course been to us before. And Craig, I hate to have you come back next meeting because you've been here the whole time, but if it's going to be, I'll leave it up to you. If you think you can, deal with it in the amount of time we have, the 10 minutes, that's perfectly acceptable, but it's whatever you think you want to do.
I can do it in less than 10 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm grateful to be here with everybody today. I'm going to give you a quick update on where we are with our platform modifications project. As of this past month, September, we completed our 4 stations on the blue line. We've raised those 4 stations to accommodate a 3-car train. So a 3-car S700 vehicle. So here's where we stand right now. As of last summer of 2024, we completed the Gold Line stations to accommodate a 2-car train. We've been running the S700s on the Gold Line for the past year, coming up this month. And then as I just mentioned, we finished our first 4 stations just this past month. The next slide shows which 4 we did. So specific to Blue Line, can you flip it to the next slide? We did on Blue Line so far, we've done Globe Station, Swanston Station, Roseville Road Station, and Alkali Flat. So that completed our construction projects to date. Where we are right now is we're finishing up the design right now and going out to bid this next month for the final phase of the project, which will be to raise the remaining 15 stations at the Blue Line to accommodate a 3-car train. And following that, we'll go back and revisit and redo 22 of the Gold Line stations that were right now only raised to accommodate a 2-car train. We're going to extend those to raise to accommodate a 3-car train. So basically, as far as schedule goes, by the end of 2027, we anticipate having the 15 stations completed for Blue Line. So by the end of 2027, we can run the S700 vehicles up to 3 cars on the Blue Line train, on the Blue Line. And on the Gold Line, we will complete that portion of work around the middle of 2029. So by the middle of 2029, we'll be able to accommodate up to a 3-car S700 train on all stations of our system. That's where we stand right now. So right now we're in the eye of the storm, so to speak. Right. We'll start construction again at the beginning of 2026, and it'll go into 2029.
Okay, thanks, Craig. Any questions from MAC members in the room? Okay, any questions from MAC members on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
Yes.
Gene,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I got distracted and had to leave the room. Craig, the Blue Line, when will all those platforms be completed for the Blue Line? 15 remaining ones, I believe there are.
Yeah, they'll be completed. We anticipate having those completed by the end of 2027, so about a little over 2 years from now.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Any questions from members of the public on Zoom? Okay. That's it, correct?
Did it in less than 10 minutes.
Man,
you did great
for that, right?
The last 2 presentations have been wonderful. Okay.
Okay. Other business. Do we have any announcements or requests for items for the October meeting? Anyone? Let's I don't know. Start in Zoom.
Yeah, Helen.
Hi. I have, Austin, do you have that picture?
Yes, we can share for you.
I have a picture that they've loaded up about a door that has been attached to the big bus, and it has a preclusion on the top half of the door, and it has a little inset on the bottom half of the door. I have a very large wheelchair, and the first time I tried to enter the bus with that door, I got stuck. My wheelchair was unable to make the turn because it ran into the top of that door. Then I realized that if I lowered my chair all the way down and crunched it up, I could just barely make it with that door being closed. I couldn't get a picture of it when it was closed next to the driver. My question is, I need to get some information because other doors that RT has put in are flush, and there's no problem getting around that corner with the door being closed. I understand that it's a safety issue. My issue is not that the door is there, but I don't know why this door was implemented apparently without MAC input, and that I think is a big issue because now we may or may not have to modify the doors that have already been put in so that all the public has equal and independent access to the bus.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
Pam, I'm sorry. Priscilla, can we agendize that for October and have whoever we need to do, whether it's Blanca or whoever it is, I'm not really sure. I don't mean to put you on anybody on the spot, I just don't remember. But whoever the appropriate staff person is, address that one in October.
Gene?
Yeah, Gene. Well, first let me see if Priscilla will respond to my question.
Yeah, I have a question. We want to put this on the agenda for next month. It can't just be something that we would share through the post-launch update. Would this be an item that we could share through the post-launch update?
I wouldn't think so. I don't know. Gene, what do you may have a contribution to this topic, so go ahead.
I really not on that specifically. I guess the question I guess, are we talking about the fixed route buses?
Yes, this was on the
Sorry, this is a
68
bus.
line.
I'm thinking this is on the trains. This is the
No,
bus.
fixed
This is
No wonder it's
68 line.
No wonder it wouldn't make sense. Sorry about that. So this is a bus. This is a bus. For some reason I was thinking it was the train because I know you ride the train.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk to Blanca about it.
Okay. That
Not
would be
really
great.
sure. Thank you.
I'd like to ask then, can one of these buses be brought to the 1102 Q Street prior to the first meeting? So those of us that are not familiar, I can't picture this. So I need physically to be on the vehicle to do that.
It was bus number 2247 on the 68 line, and there are several of them on the 68 and 67 line.
So why don't we talk about that possibility at the executive committee? It's a good idea, Gene. Let's talk about that further to see what, if anything, can be done. Blanca will probably be on that call, hopefully, and we'll see what we can do. But I'm really glad you brought that up.
Thank you.
All right. Pam?
Yes, a question came up about public being very concerned about safety news issues right now. And is the SAC-RT well policed? And I said yes. And it caused me to remember, how long has it been since we had an update from our police department, SAC-RT Police Department?
Lisa?
And if there's been any changes, that may be a TCP meeting or a regular one. I always learn something from them.
From Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I certainly we can get that on the agenda. We're meeting every month, full MAC. So, at this point, it's probably something that could just go to the full MAC meeting.
Okay, good.
And we also have these kinds of presentations at the board meetings as well. So just encourage folks when you have a chance to actually watch the SAC-RT board meetings, because there's a lot of informative information there. But we'll jot that down, Pam, for an upcoming agenda.
Very good. Real quick too, as of September 7th, MAC has been meeting for 19 years. And I think the two original people are myself and Jean. Am I correct, Jean? Is there anybody else?
No.
Wow.
Well, I'll say that Jean even goes back to the DCAT days.
Yeah,
because
he goes
before
way
MAC,
back.
True.
it was
Prior
DCAT,
to
and
that.
that's when I started and was involved
Very
with
true.
DCAT.
There was something before DCAT that I was on that started in 1978, and I know
That's not me.
Yeah, Mike
Wow.
Wiley interviewed me to be appointed there.
Oh
on
my
that,
Wow.
committee.
Wow.
Okay.
I happened
All right.
to come across my acceptance letter with Mike Wiley's signature on it, so just thought I'd end with that.
How about that? All right. Anyone else under this item? Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So
Motion
moved.
to adjourn.
We have a motion and we
Second.
had a second. All those in favor
Second.
say aye.
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 All
Aye.
opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you, Charlie, for all of your help.
Sure. Take care.